Welcome back. So in this first little section of wild food in our goosefoot, I just want to point out where one can look for goosefoot. And here I'm on a vacant plot, and you can see it looks a bit rubbishy. The ground doesn't look too good, but can you see it? Do you see it there? There's actually two goosefoot there. I should have zoomed in with this, but I will take a shot of it and show you just now. Once you see this good goosefoot in the wild, you can't unsee it. Behind me are some thistles and blackjack's weeds and a bunch of other things. Also a bunch of edibles there that we'll look at in the future. This is your green pantry. And there's the second one, slightly smaller one. Get to know this plant. Familiarize yourself with what it looks like. Let's go over here now and I'll just show you a shot. And there's the close-up of the larger one. You might recognize a red tinge on the leaves. And the second one, of quite a few, growing under a plum tree. You might see on the left there's a little plum next to my hand. This is a really baby one. They're so cute. And this is when they're the tastiest, but we'll get into that. And we might pick one or two of these and we'll discuss that just now, and I'll show you from close-up. It's good to spot them and see as many as you can. There you go. Tiny little one. They grow all over the place. All over the place. And yeah, we have a close-up of another tiny one. Very pretty. Hey, welcome back. We're going to continue with the goosefoot, sort of part two. The first part was an introduction. This one is identification and getting to know the plant, familiarizing yourself with what it looks like in all the stages of growth, and a little bit more info about the plant. So this is I'm gonna try and stick to identification. One always wants to, I don't want to cram everything into this, but yeah, we'll do a third or a fourth identification, including nutrition and how you prepare, how you cook it, that kind of thing. But just before we carry on, just a bit of a disclaimer. The identification is to help you and help me. We're all learning at the same time. You don't want to go out there. So this is my disclaimer. You don't go out there and just pick random stuff that you think you know. You make sure that you know exactly what this plant is. How do they say, when in doubt, do without? So I encourage you to study as much as you can about wild plants, wild spinach, and even go out with somebody that really knows what they're doing, that really knows the plant in question, like this one. So I'm by no means the final authority, and that's why I include my disclaimer. I've eaten this, I've got to know this plant very well, and I think one should focus on one plant at a time till you can really identify it with your eyes closed, so to say. People ask me sometimes to identify mushrooms. Oh, what can we eat? What is out there? Show us, teach us. There's too much. I say to them, choose one that you know that grows in your area and you can identify. And when you really know it, then try it out. But rather stick with somebody that knows what they're doing. I've no degree in botany or anything like that, but I make a point of finding out everything I know about this plant. So there's a lot to be said. There's a lot of information out there about this specific plant. And I once again encourage you to go and research, do your own research. Be be your own botanist, your own doctor. Go and learn. Go and learn. And then if you know more than I do about this, I'm sure you do. There are many people out there, and there's so much information out there about this plant. Get back to me, please. We're all learning, and I'll tell you at the end why this is so important to me. Yeah, so let's get straight into it. You might have seen the pictures in the beginning of this video. I have a few small samples here. And before we look at them, they're wilting already, before we look at them. So goosefoot or fat hen, lamb's quarters. I know in some of the eastern countries they call it bathu. Local language, it's known as imbikicane. I know that might be difficult to say, but this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. Get to know the names, get to know what it looks like in its different stages and forms. Yeah, for example, local wild spinach, any wild greens are known as umfino, which just means wild greens, wild green vegetables, leafy vegetables. Now, some people would call this umfino, it is, because it's a wild spinach, but its specific name is imbikicane, with a click of the tongue. That's something very interesting, and we'll go down that as we talk about nutrition in the next video, maybe. All right, so goosefoot grows all over, anywhere. You can find it on rubbish dumps, sidewalks, and this is one of the important reasons. It's such a hardy plant that it needs no cultivated soil. It will grow anywhere, barring Antarctica maybe. It doesn't need care. It just grows, and it's so nutritious. So that's the plus side, but that's included in the nutrition one. No chemicals, no pesticides, no worries. You literally pick this plant, rinse it off, and cook it up. All right, back to the naming. So all the goosefoots, the white goosefoot, the giant goosefoot, which are the two that I find in my area, are of the Amaranth family. Sometimes it's known as pigweed, but it's actually not pigweed. Guys just use different names, so that's important to get to know the real name and what it looks like. And if you see it and they call it by another name, you still know what it is, and not just go by hearsay. Yeah, even quinoa is family of this. So as this annual plant dries out towards the end of the season, it carries tiny little bunches of seeds on the end, which is similar to quinoa. I think quinoa just has larger seeds, which they use in whatever way they prepare it. And you can do this with goosefoot as well. What a wonderful plant. It's actually starting to be listed as one of the superfoods. They are absolutely amazing. This one, I've only have few small samples here. I think it was a giant goosefoot growing in my yard. It was over 10 feet tall, 10 foot tall. And it really displayed something that I'd like to show you as we go through this. So there's a baby. I have an even tinier one. They are all over my garden. There's a tiny little one. But we'll get to see the shape of the leaves. But always look for photos, always look for videos of them, and just know this plant. There are many to know, but you're going to know this one. There's a slightly larger one, so sometimes the roots look adventitious, but it does have a long taproot and a very strong root system. I hope you can see the shape of the leaf there. Sometimes called the oak leaf goosefoot. Similar sort of shape to an oak leaf. And of course there's a large one. Now if you get a close-up, you can perhaps see the red tinge there, and a bit of a red or magenta color on the stalk or the stem. This one had it a bit harsh. It was really growing in rocky, horrible soil, but there it is. So just to touch on that color, the magenta or the red tinge that you see in it, red in nature is like, ooh, poisonous. Um, Apparently, the red tinge is due to the saponins and the oxalic acids within the plant. Can be tummy upsetting, but you cook them properly, they're 100%. No worries. So, just again, let's just have a look at this again. The little ones are a slightly brighter green, and they're obviously more tender. That's the best time to eat them when they're slightly larger than that. You don't want to pick 100 of these. And as they get older, the leaves obviously change a bit in color, so they go sort of a grayer, darker green. And as they get older, they tend to show off that magenta tinge on the edges. So please help me learn, and I'll help you learn. If you have something to add, please do that. And the reason for learning about this is, and this is kind of a legacy we can leave. Our forefathers and natives and our predecessors knew about plants like this, and they knew how to eat them, they knew what they looked like, and everyone was taught this. But we've forgotten about that, and it's just too easy to run to the grocer and buy your Swiss chard. We need to know this because there's a dying world out there. There's a hungry world out there. People are starving, and I feel people need to see this. And if you can share this knowledge, this is free food, and it is so nutritious. I can't wait to tell you about what is in this plant. It's so nutritious, and you see people begging for bread on sidewalks. If we can teach each other that there is a lot of food out there that doesn't need to be planted, you don't need to cultivate soil. This is a pantry out there, and that's what I love about it, and leaving that knowledge and sharing it. And I would love to know more about the Goosefoot, and this is why I'm starting this. I want more information. I want you guys to tell me more stuff about it. So that's one of the main reasons I want to do this, and it would be very kind of you to join me and follow and share with me. And let's get this knowledge out there, because it doesn't cost me anything, and it doesn't cost you anything, maybe a bit of time. It would be great to bring all that stuff back and teach people about wild foods and wild knowledge, nature knowledge, what to eat, what not to eat, because there is literally, once again, so much food out there. So yeah, I would really appreciate it, and be very kind of you if you could follow along and give your input. There are so many links out there for Goosefoot. There's so much I want to say about it, but we'll make a few more videos and just add as we go along, because every video is a learning process for all of us. And I hope you found some joy out of this. I don't have all the photos, but I would love to, if you get in contact with me, love to see your pictures, your finds, and I'll share mine with you. And our knowledge base grows, and maybe we can have a library of wild food photos and info. That would be great. Thanks for joining, and look out for the second part of this, or actually the third part, which would be nutrition and preparing and that kind of thing. And we'll just carry on. There might be a fourth and a fifth part, but like I said, let's delve into this one specifically and really get to know it and what it's about. And it's once you've seen it, you can't unsee it, and it's like riding a bike. You just, after 20 years, you get up and you ride it. If you see this plant in the bush one day, and you know it, you're going to know immediately, and that's wonderful to be able to share that then with people and tell them about its food properties and nutrition. Anyway, thanks for joining, guys. We'll do another one, and look out for it. Have a lovely day. Cheers.